Hey fans, welcome to AMP Energy's first ever live MMA chat. I'm Larry Pepe, host of Pro MMA Radio. I'm sitting here with a couple of the sport's brightest stars, the California Kid, Urijah Faber, and Chad Money Mendes. We'll be taking your questions for the next 45 minutes, so keep sending them in. If you're on our Ustream site, please look to the right-hand side of your screen and you'll see a social stream that you can sign into using your Facebook, Twitter, AOL, MySpace, and just put your questions there. We'll keep fielding them, and we'll keep talking to the guys. So this will be your opportunity to talk to Urijah and Chad live right here on AMP's Ustream. So Urijah, no big surprise. We got a couple of questions for you already.
Okay.
First, I would like to know what music Urijah Faber listens to keep amped up while training. That comes from RJ Simino. So what kind of music is it?
Man, it's I'm actually a wide variety of music, so I listen to all sorts of stuff. I'm mostly a mellow kind of guy, you know. I don't have the, you know, I guess there's different times for different things, but kind of like Jack Johnson, Swayze. I've got a bunch of rap stuff. There's a bunch of old rock stuff. I like Bob Dylan and Johnny Cash and you know, Tupac, of course, and all those. You know, all the top rap guys as well, but more than anything, I'm just kind of a guy that likes to stay mellow. So I think Swayze's a good mix, and Jack Johnson is a good mix of you know, kind of what I'm into.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm going to give the fans a chance to kind of keep fielding these questions in, so we have a bunch to choose from. But I can't ignore that we're a couple of days away from the last WEC event ever. Okay, I want to go to Chad first, and I'm going to come back to you. You became known in the WEC. You've had 4 fights this year. It's really like put you on the map. What are your feelings that in 2 days we're going to say goodbye to the WEC forever? Granted, you're going to be UFC bound. It's going to be a little different.
For me, I mean, it's a little bit of mixed. You know, it kind of sucks that the organization's leaving, and you know, it's something that helped me get to where I am right now. But I mean, we're moving on to, you know, even bigger things, I think, and you know, I'm super excited to go into the UFC. I'm not, you know, too upset that the WEC's leaving, but I mean, on the same note, it sucks that that's where I began. You know, that's where my name's come from. So, you know, I'm a little bit of both.
And you're right. Your situation's a little different because most people credit you as the face of the WEC. That really you helped build that whole organization along with Reed Harris and the Zuffa people once they came in. So how is it for you?
It's good. You know, the whole understanding for me was we were part of Zuffa, which owns the UFC and owns the WEC. And I think the whole reason behind the WEC was to give fans a chance to see the lightweight fighters, in addition to create their own competition. There's a lot of demand for MMA content out there in the world. And, you know, Zuffa was just giving them another product that was quality to, you know, stiff out the competition. So another TV network deal, another sponsorship deal, and a whole lot of, you know, a lot of great fights with the lightweight fighters and employing more fighters. So I think at this point the UFC was growing so fast, the WC skyrocketed, and like you said, I was a part of that as well, and helped it grow. But the UFC name is just the name for mixed martial arts. So it was taking off so fast that it was like, it only made sense for us to get the full credit that we deserve for fighting the best guys in the world, to be a part of that UFC brand with the UFC budget, with the UFC international marketing, and the fan base.
And let's be real, I mean, there's never been a boring WEC card. I mean,
no,
it's unbelievable. Like, no matter who's on the card, even when people say, oh, there's not as many big names, or Uriah's not on the card, every card delivered. And I think that's a big reason why it's graduating, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, hands down, most exciting fights, you know, over and over again we perform. And I think, you know, Zuffa, the guys that started that, Dana and Lorenzo, the Fertitta brothers, they basically love our sport. And that's the reason they've been taking these steps. And they've known for a long time that the lightweight fighters are exciting, and they just need to get that out to the public. When I first started doing PR for the WEC, it was was incredible how ignorant people were about, you know, fighting and this and that, and especially with the lightweight fighters. They're like, well, I don't know if there's a place for them, and it's like, you know, now everybody knows, you know, and so it's a great progression, and I think it's good to have the two come together.
Very cool. So we got some questions rolling in. Maddie wants to know, Chad, I'll let you answer first. What's your favorite meal to eat after the weigh-ins?
For me, it's pasta. I'm always just getting super stuffed off spaghetti and meatballs. That's definitely the same. I mean, I've eaten that after every single fight, or after every single weigh-in, but yeah, I get as full as I possibly can, and then within like an hour or two, I'm ready to eat again. So that's definitely my go-to.
Yeah, I think it's changed for me over the years. For this last fight, I had turkey potato burritos that were my favorite growing up. My mom used to make them for me all the time.
I ate like 8 of them.
Yeah, so I had we had a whole setup in our hotel room. It was me, Chad, and Joseph all sitting on a bed, and people just bringing us a bunch of food. So
that was great.
Yeah, he had his homemade meal, but his family brought him, and my family, I had my special meal, and then we all just swapped, and then that was the first meal. There's right after the weigh-in, you get something in you. Then you have your first meal, and then you have the ones following.
Oh, we went to the buffet after.
Yeah, you guys went to the buffet. I chilled.
Like I said, I was hungry again. Like, it was probably like an hour and a half later. I was like, let's go to the buffet. Everyone's like, I'm so full still.
Was it different for you rehydrating after 35 than 45, or was it pretty much the same?
No, it was way different. I was back to my roots in college, and I mean, that weight cut for me was actually kind of fun. It was a good challenge for me, and it was something I knew I'd be able to do fairly easy, but wanted to be as calculated and have as much advantage as possible. So I think 10 hours after the weigh-in, I'd put on 17 pounds. And there's a video on UrijahFaber.com. I think it's also at the Form Athletics Facebook, which has been growing, by the way. They're doing a huge campaign, and 30% off right now on Form stuff. And we got a bunch of our guys fighting. Right. But we had a video of me walking in, getting on the scale, and it was like 50, 52 and a half, 53.
And that was 10 hours?
10 hours after, and then I came back down probably about 150 and a half, 151 by the time I stepped in the cage.
Wow. Well, Uriah, you probably knew this one was coming. Ferrero51 wants to know how you would fare in a fight against Miguel Torres.
I think that's a fight that I would win. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. So I don't know how it happened exactly. I feel confident wherever I go. You know, his strength, I would say, he's got like a long reach. I wouldn't say he's the most powerful guy, but he's got good traditional boxing, and he's got some real tricky submissions. But I've gone against world champions, multiple world champions, and trained with the top grappling team, in my opinion, in the sport. And basically, I don't ever get caught. So I don't see how he'd finish me, but I think there's a lot of ways for me to finish him.
Does any of the confidence come from training with Joseph and Joseph's experience with Miguel?
Not necessarily. I mean, we're all different fighters. I feel like, I just have an advantage in every front against Miguel. Like, athletically, I think his strongest attribute is that he's got a lot of heart, and he's a true fighter. He loves to fight. But, I mean, the times where he actually, gets clocked against guys with some power, like against a guy like Bowles or a guy like Joseph, or even he had a knockdown drag out with Mizugaki. Mizugaki, I don't think he barely landed a hand on me, and they had like a knockdown drag out where they're beating the crap out of each other. And it wasn't the smartest fight, but it was like, yeah, great guys. But I think I match up well against him.
Okay. Chad, we got one for you. Brian Houston wants to know when you're getting your own hunting program.
That's funny, actually. I was just talking to Faber about this back at the gym before we got here. I'm shooting a pilot January 1st. I'm going on a hog hunt, and we have a producer coming. He's going to film the whole hunt and edit it all, and get some DVDs going. So hopefully I can start getting that out there, and as soon as possible. But that's definitely the ultimate goal.
That's awesome.
Awesome. You got to see Chad. Chad is like Elmer Fudd with powerful hands. He's out there. He's either fishing or hunting. He's getting up early to go fishing in the morning before practice. In between practices, he's on his little boat.
Oh, yeah.
He's hunting on the weekends. This guy's like,
I love it, man. I grew up doing it. My dad got me doing it probably when I was 5, 6 years old, and just, I haven't stopped. So it's definitely my passion, outside of fighting, and that's going to be the goal for the career after fighting, is hopefully get into that, get to hunt for a living, and.
But now let's tell the truth, because when you came on the show, I remember you and Urijah had done a hunting episode.
Yeah.
And he told me he was nervous being with you because he said you never had a gun in your hand.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm on the beach, dude. That's my MO.
Oh yeah.
But it was pretty fun.
Was it?
Yeah, we have a bunch of footage of that on UrijahFaber.com too. Some of the behind the scenes stuff. Chad hitting a bunch of bullseyes on a long target, and me watching.
Very cool. So Phil Anderson has a couple of more questions. How did you meet Master Tong?
So Master Tong, he basically came over here as he trained a bunch of high-level boxers. He's trained like 5 or 6 Thai world champions in boxing, and Bukau Porpramuk, who's a kickboxing world champ. He trained those guys, came over with them, and ended up staying a couple years back. Was training with Master Toddy training for Master Toddy, and then he went to San Francisco and ended up in Sacramento somehow. We had a weigh-in at our gym for a local fight, and Master Tong comes in wearing like a tight outfit that said Grandma's pajamas on him. That apparently he had found at like a garage sale or something. No one told him what it said. He didn't speak any English or anything. And his calves were massive. I remember looking at him. He looked like a weird animal, They looked like tree trunks. And he was just smiling. I was talking to him. He was nodding yes and all this stuff. Had no idea what I was saying. So then he fought that night, and he went out there, smiled at the guy, shook his hand, and 11 seconds into it, he high kicks him and knocks the guy out. And then he was doing some little Muay Thai camps around Sacramento, trying to raise some money with a partner, and they came into our gym, and he was a high-level trainer, so he's used to working with high-level athletes, and he just really felt at home in our gym, and I made it happen to where he was with us all the time, and he's been the guy that's really helped, with our stand-up all the way through, and he's a crack up. Yeah, he's hilarious.
I think that's why he fits in so well. He's just like one of us. He's like one of the younger guys.
Minus the English.
Yeah, exactly.
Still.
Yeah.
Still. Okay, Urijah and Chad. So Chad, I'll go to you first on this one. What do you think is the best advice you could give an aspiring fighter? That's from Jordan Gayer.
For me, definitely you got to stick with it, and it's got to be, dedication, 100% dedication. You can't halfway do this sport. You got to get in there and put your time in, put your work in. If you're going to be cutting weight, make sure you're doing it right. You see a lot of guys going out there cutting weight, and they just, don't do it correctly. They don't rehydrate. They don't eat the right foods after weighing in, and they gas out in the ring. And that's not always, that doesn't always reflect how good of a fighter they are. They could be a lot better, but they're just not able to perform because of, mistakes they made in the training camp or cutting weight. So definitely dedication, go 100% in everything you do in the gym, and have fun with it.
Urijah, how about you? What advice would you give to a fighter?
I would say first and foremost, make sure that's something you enjoy. I see a lot of guys that do the sport for the wrong reason, and they always, like Chad's talking about, find ways to cheat the system. If you don't enjoy it, you're in the wrong sport, because it's not something that's for everyone. Chad and I just went 10 rounds of punching each other in the face right before we came here, and not everyone can do that, So that's the first thing, is make sure it's something you do enjoy. And the second thing is, I would make sure that you surround yourself with the best training partners or the best team that you can possibly, and understand about how important it is to learn technique, because people a lot of times just think because they're a tough guy, they're going to be a great fighter. But there's so much technically that goes into it. You can get that through, being part of a good school. You can do that through buying tapes and watching videos and watching YouTube and things like that. But you need to be real active in educating yourself on all the aspects of the sport. It's one thing to go in there and be a great wrestler and be worried about the stand-up. It's another thing to be a stand-up guy that's worried about going to the ground. When you're good at everything and you put in your time to learn about the sport, then everything goes smoothly. So I would say find the best teachers and have a positive attitude and be patient, because this sport takes a long time to make your name, and it's been almost seven years for me, so it doesn't come easy.
And I want to go back to something you just said about doing it for the right reasons, because you own a training center here in Sacramento. Are you seeing, because of the popularity of MMA and UFC being all over television, that guys are coming in because they want to be stars more than they want to be fighters? Are you seeing more of that?
Well, that's a short-lived dream when you actually walk into a gym like ours. So, I mean, you do see that, but more often than that, you see guys in the bar scene, or you hear from friends of friends that, oh, my buddy's a fighter, he's a fighter, this and that. And there's a lot of posers out there, believe it or not. I mean, I'm sure you believe it, but that's more of what you see out there. And just because a guy steps in the gym doesn't necessarily mean he's a professional fighter. There's all different levels. I mean, we hold different levels of fighting. So I would say it's great. We want as many people drawn to the sport as possible. Posers come on, real guys come on, kids come on, women, oldest teammate on our team is Red Robinson. He's 62, and he's a savage. He'll get in there and spar, do whatever. But it's one of those things where whatever the reason is, everyone wants to be a part of the sport, and we accept that. But the guys that are really going to make it are the ones that are disciplined, surround themselves with the best people, and are consistent and persistent.
You mentioned women. DX Angel 91 wants to know if there's going to be a Form Athletics women's line.
There is, and I get on the Form Athletics Facebook and campaign for that. We're actually working on some stuff, but our brand is so new and it's taken off so fast. We have Anthony Pettis and Scott Jorgensen and Danny Castillo and Danny Boy Downs all fighting on this next card. Anthony's also representing Amp Energy, and we're slowly growing. We've got John Bones Jones and Mark Munoz and Chad Mendes and Joseph Benavidez and Eric Koch and all these guys. So this next year is the year of Form Athletics, and yes, we will definitely be getting some women's stuff, but give us some time. Things are going to get better and better and better and better. The website's going to be revamped, and everything's going to be new. We have a whole new Confidence in One campaign coming out in February, and huge things are going to happen for Form, and the Form Amp collaboration also is awesome. So women, we will take care of you.
Very cool. So Raymond Criado, Chad, wants to know, what do you do to keep your confidence up?
For me, I mean, most of my confidence comes from training. I mean, I started wrestling when I was 5 years old, and that's just something that I learned just through that whole lifestyle of just being a top-level athlete and just training all the time. When you aren't prepared for a match, that's when you're going to be nervous. That's when you're not going to be confident. So for me, it's just knowing that when I went through that whole camp, I did everything possible. I did everything right to beat this guy. So I get my confidence through that. I mean, I just try and keep on a regular basis, getting in there every day, doing the stuff that I need to do, and that's where it comes from.
Very good. So Uriah, well, of course, we're going to get the question about the Ultimate Fighter. Phil Anderson wants to know, have you heard anything about you and Torres or Cruz on Tough?
You got to throw Kid Yamamoto in that mix too now. He just signed with the UFC. But no, I haven't, unfortunately. I think before the merger happened, they've already started the process of the next Ultimate Fighter, and I think it's 70-pounders and 85s, and I don't know what they're planning on after that. I think it's mostly media and fans that are excited about that. I think Miguel Torres has started a little campaign to get his name in there too, and so basically, I think most of the talk has been from speculation and people wanting to see it happen. I know for a fact it'd be great to have our weight classes on the Ultimate Fighter. I'd love to be a coach. I think Miguel Torres would be a good coach. He's got some creative stuff out there. He's an interesting character, and I don't like Dominic Cruz much, so I think that would be good to be interacting with that guy. And Scotty Jorgensen, that would be unique because he and I are actually buddies, but we're very competitive. So I think that would be a good look also. And then Kid Yamamoto, he speaks English. He actually was out here in Arizona going to high school, and I think that's where he learned how to be cool, is out here in America.
Right.
So he'd be a good one too. But get me in the mix for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned Cruz. Not a big fan of Cruz. I know you don't really get along with him. Were you surprised, and take me from a fighter's perspective, why he would do this? That he came out before the fight with Scotty and said that he's going to need hand surgery after the fight and will be out 4 to 6 months. Because if that's true, then he couldn't do tough. He basically took himself out of that mix. Are you surprised that a fighter would tell everybody right before a title fight, I'm going to need to get my hand fixed after the fight?
Yeah, I didn't even know that. But
I just saw that.
smooth move, X-Lax. Come on, buddy. Yeah, I didn't know that. But yeah, you should, who knows what's going to happen. Maybe you will need surgery, maybe you won't. I didn't know that.
Yeah, okay. Chad, how's married life? This comes from Brian Houston, and then Urijah, are you next? So it's a two-part question, so we'll go to you first. How's married life?
I mean, really, nothing's changed a whole lot. I mean, I met her in college, and we started living together when we were here. I mean, it's been about 3 years now, and really nothing's any different. I don't notice anything different, but except for the ring on my finger. But other than that, I mean, it's good.
You notice any difference in Chad since he's married?
He's always got a full belly because she's a great cook. So, and we all get a little bit of that too. She's hooking the team up all the time. So.
All right. Well, the second part of the question, Urijah, you next. That was the next thing.
I'm definitely not next. Maybe Joe B. He's been in love a little bit lately. But I think my whole thing is I don't have time right now to focus and devote time to another person and make them happy. I'm in a selfish place in my life, and I've got a lot of goals and things that I want to do, and still looking for that special lady. You never know when she's going to creep up on you, but until then, I'm just keeping it single and focusing on myself and my career and things that I'm doing.
Cool. So you mentioned Yamamoto, Urijah, and Mike Carone says Urijah Kid Yamamoto just signed with the UFC. Any interest in fighting him?
Yes, and I've met him. Probably the coolest dude in Japan. Like I said, he came over to America, learned how we roll around here, and he's got a great name in Japan. He's from a strong pedigree, a wrestling pedigree. His family, his dad, I think, was an Olympian. His sisters are like world champions, and he's got highlight reel fights. So he's been kind of had some rough fights this last couple of years. But as far as name recognition and excitement and things like that, that's a guy that everybody has been wanting to see for a long time. I was calling him out back in the day when he was ranked #1 in the world. Before that, I've been calling out whoever's ranked #1 for years now. Just like trying to climb the top and be like, hey, I'm the man. But I would love to fight him.
And to your point, he went on a string, Yamamoto, before this last little bit where he was dominating everybody and everybody was screaming for a fight between you two guys.
Right, and the most intriguing part about him is he's a little guy. So he was knocking out guys at 55s, 45s, and he's a 35-pounder, I think. I mean, they have him at 45s now, but he's much smaller than I am.
Well, on the subject of future opponents, we got one for you, Chad. Mike Carone says, Chad, what is the biggest threat Omagawa poses to you in your next fight? Now, has that fight been signed or announced?
I mean, nothing's official yet.
Okay, so you're
it's
hearing
still
rumors like we do.
Yeah.
Okay, so Omagawa.
I mean, like I said, they're all rumors, but I'm definitely, keeping an eye on him. He just signed, so it's definitely a guy that I'll probably fight either now or in the future. So, looking at him, his fighting style, I think it's a perfect matchup for me. I think he's a judo, that's his main background. So, I wrestled Greco for a lot of, growing up for a lot of years in my life, which, I think can nullify a lot of the judo stuff. But, you know, I have confidence in my wrestling. I really, looking at his style, I feel confident anywhere that the fight would go. You know, I feel like I could beat him with stand-up. You know, if it goes to the ground, you know, I'm definitely most confident there. So, you know, like I said, I feel confident that I'd be able to beat him anywhere in the fight.
So when you hear the rumors and it's not official yet, do you start looking at him? Do you start looking at video? Do you start putting that in your head? Or do you kind of take a step back and wait a minute?
Oh yeah, I start looking. I mean, I keep my eye on everybody in the division. You know, I'm always watching tape on everybody. If I'm flipping through the channels and there's fights on Versus, anybody in my weight class, I definitely keep it there and watch it. But yeah, when I start seeing rumors all over the internet and stuff, a lot of the times it happens to be that person. So I definitely start watching that person a little bit more and just kind of dissecting their style and, you know, start training for it a little bit in the gym. But like I said, it's not always that person, but for the most part, it usually is. So.
All right. And Urijah from Adrian Rivadeneira. We have, hey Urijah, can you elaborate more on your diet, just how you eat day to day?
Yeah, there's a little history. EatLikeAChamp.com is our website that we have, you know, a ton of nutrition facts on there and kind of like our mentality thinking, my mentality thinking on how I eat. But the bottom line is I was raised really healthy, so I basically crave healthy foods. So I eat whatever I want. If I want ice cream, I'll have ice cream. I try to do the best quality stuff possible. If I'm going to eat red meat, it'll be good quality red meat. If I'm gonna have ice cream, it's gonna be, you know, milk, sugar, what is the least amount of ingredients as possible that keeps it as in its closest to its natural form as possible. But I eat a lot, you know. Try to eat as much complex. He eats a lot too, man. Yeah, we'll point a finger over here.
I eat more through the day. You eat like a huge sitting.
Yeah, that's
This guy
true.
could just keep eating, man.
Yeah, that's it. Especially when I was making 45s, because my weight fluctuates so much, I get home and I'd probably, like the good part of my day, until I went to bed, I was putting stuff in my face. I mean, seriously, like a 6-hour, like constantly eating. And, yeah, I'd put on like 7 pounds at the end of the day. But, you know, I used to eat a lot of healthy foods. Fruits, vegetables, complex carbohydrates, which, you know, legumes and rice and beans, you know, that's what that is. And lean meats, I eat a lot of fish and chicken and turkey and stuff like that. Smoked salmon is one of my favorites. Big Lagoon Rancheria hooks that up out in Northern California, our native buddies. But just eat good, you know, and I'm active, so just coconut juice and vinegar water, all sorts of crazy stuff.
All sorts
pollen.
of stuff. So we're about halfway through our AMP Energy Live Chat with Urijah Faber and Chad Mendes. Keep sending in your questions until we're done. You have about another 20 minutes. We got plenty of time to ask the guys a lot more questions. Let's see who we have here. For Urijah, do you think TJ Dillashaw will be the next out of Team Alpha Male to get to the UFC? That comes from Misha Me.
TJ Dillashaw, for those who don't know, we call him Lieutenant Dan, after Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump.
Right.
The scene where he's screaming at God on the top of the boat during the storm. Is that all you got? Come on! That's because he's the most competitive guy on our team. The first day he came into spar, he wanted to go in with all the top dogs because he's, you know, he wants to test himself. And he's getting plugged, screaming, come on, standing there, giving out, swinging, blood's running down his nose. But yeah, he's already caught up with Joseph and Chad and I, and he's ready to step in at any moment. The last guy he beat was 5-0. He just stomped the dude. Yeah.
What weight class is TJ?
He's a 35-pounder also.
Is he?
So, I mean, I think we can swing it with another guy in there. It's right now, I think they have Joseph and I number 2 and number 3 in the world. I think we can put TJ in there at number 4.
There you go. All right, let's see. Who do you guys think would have won if Aldo fought Grisby? I know you're disappointed the fight didn't happen. That comes from Phil. Chad, what do you think?
You know, you never know with Grisby because that guy just can pull stuff out of anywhere. But I would have to give it to Aldo just because he's so solid. You know, I just think that he would have picked him apart with the stand-up. And I don't think Grisby has the capability to take him down and keep him down. So, I mean, I would have to go with Aldo on that one.
Because he doesn't have Chad Mendes wrestling?
That's right, baby. He doesn't have that double A.
That's it. Uriah?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say Aldo's top of the game right now. It's gonna take somebody that can really dictate where the fight goes to beat him. And Grispy's tough. He's got heavy hands. He's got good submissions. But I think Aldo's too well-rounded and too good at dictating where the fight goes right now because he's fast. He's got great footwork. And he's not scared to go anywhere. So I give the advantage there to Aldo for sure. Okay. But I love Grispy. Grispy's a good guy too. And he's tough. But Chad's going to take them all out.
Yep.
Because Chad's 45, you're 35 now. The
That's
team
right.
is lining up. Yeah. Okay, so Tom 9D wants to know, if you could instantly master any new martial arts discipline, what would it be?
Master it.
Like you woke up tomorrow morning and you're a master of that discipline.
I'd have to say Muay Thai because I feel confident in my ground game and my stand-up. But as you saw with Aldo, there's some guys that are really, really, and you see Anderson Silva, and you watch guys like Raymond the Diamond Decker, who's one of the best non-Thai kickboxers out there. And there's another level that you could get to. So I'm still working towards like getting to the point where I'm at the top 100%, 99% skill level of Muay Thai. It'd be great to be that tomorrow morning.
Me too, definitely Muay Thai. That's what I was going to say too. Yeah.
All right. What would you do if you didn't fight? This comes from GSP Junior 18. Chad, I'll go to you first. If you couldn't fight,
I would definitely be hunting all the time. I would try to have my own.
That's a surprise, isn't it? You're right.
Yeah.
Hunting and fishing. I mean, anything dealing with the outdoors, really. I mean, if I couldn't have my own show, I'd probably be like a forest ranger or something, and just is up there doing that kind of stuff all the time, or something like that. But yeah, definitely something with the outdoors.
Okay, Uriah, I'm guessing it's not hunting for you.
No, probably not. Something just working with people. I'd probably be a small business owner and be making a lot of cash doing a bunch of stuff. Maybe a school teacher in addition to having something on the outside. I'm the type of guy that has to have my hands in a lot of things. I've just been that way since I was a little kid. I mean, I'm constantly working on stuff. So I'd probably be doing multitasking as a teacher in some form, maybe with wrestling, coaching, and then have some sort of small business, something probably related to food.
Okay. Big meals.
Yeah,
right?
Big meals.
Fight Spectator, Uriah wants to know, if you did fight Jose Aldo again, how would your strategy differ now?
I would say, first and foremost, really understand. I knew that he was going to throw a lot of leg kicks, and I knew they were going to hurt, but I didn't realize they were going to be as debilitating as they were. So I'd continue to work on avoiding those leg kicks, whether it be with counters or blocks. I mean, I had a pretty good game plan, but once he got a hold of it a couple times, my leg was out of the equation. I was really debilitated, like I said. So I would say push the pace more, as far as be a little bit more desperate for a takedown early on, and try to get to him, put my hands on him as much as possible without establishing my hands as much. Because my plan in the first round was establish the fact that he has to respect my hands to set up the takedowns. By the time he got to my leg, it was too late. So
how early was that leg hurt? Like, at what point in the fight did you know, like, oh, I can't really spring?
It was about 2 minutes left in the second round. And 2 minutes or minute and a half left in the second round. And up until that point, it was still a really close fight. So at that point, I went back to the corner, I sat down, and it was hard to bend my leg, and I had 2 big lumps on my leg that were like stopping me from bending my leg and had taken the spring away. So that was a tough fight, man. That was the most, when I broke my hands, at least I could hold them out of the way. Right. But this thing was just getting punished and punished. It was it was kind of like torture. But you get stronger from things like that, and I love that fight.
Okay. XX Dale Jr. XX88 wants to know, Uriah, who was the fighter who inspired you most to get into MMA?
I've had a lot of inspiration. You got to understand, I've been a huge mixed martial arts fan since the early ones where there was big fat guys getting their teeth knocked out by guys with MC Hammer pants and like the one glove on, one glove off, and like the dorky karate guy with the molester mustache like jumping around and almost getting killed. So all that stuff was motivation for me. But I really liked Vitor Belfort, Tank Abbott, Tito Ortiz, and Mark Coleman, Randy Couture. Those were the guys that I was just really, really intrigued with when I first started fighting. I think it went Tank was the first one that I was exposed to, then Vitor, then Tito, and then then Coleman, then Randy. So, I mean, those are all guys I looked at. And I remember thinking in my head, like, do I be a loudmouth like Tito or do I be like Randy Couture, you know? And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to be myself.
Yeah, it seems to work out for
Yeah, so it worked out good, and it's probably a little bit of both, but more towards the Randy Couture side.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of Tito in you.
Yeah, no.
Chad, how about you? Who really got you motivated?
Definitely, probably my two were Tito and Randy. And I just remember growing up, and Tito would come to all the well, not all of them, but some of the wrestling tournaments and stuff when I was growing up, and I was through high school and stuff, and he'd be selling his punishment gear and stuff, and so just getting to meet him and just having the wrestling background, kind of just I saw how well he was doing, and just the whole wrestling and coming over into MMA was something that I liked, but probably the number one fighter that got me 100% focused on making the decision I wanted to come into MMA was Urijah. I met him in high school. He recruited me and stuff, but just working out with him over the summer for the wrestling camps and stuff, and rolling jiu-jitsu with him and stuff. Just that's really when I fell in love with it and decided this is something I want to do. So just trying to follow in his footsteps, and he offered me a place here, and after that, I haven't looked back. So.
And doesn't it help that you're in a similar weight class? I mean, it's one thing to be inspired by a Tito or a Randy, but is it easier to identify with guys that are in your own weight that took a similar path?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember watching him wrestle in college, and after seeing him wrestle a few times, I remember going back and just trying to do the same kind of stuff he was doing, and I think that goes for MMA also. Just seeing him fight. I try and use the same techniques and try and have the same style as him, and I think that helped me grow as an MMA fighter, and definitely helped me get to where I am now, is just looking up to this guy.
So Urijah, we have a question about your mom. Your mom doesn't like to watch your fights. Did she see the last one? That comes from Waters 832.
I think she did watch the fight. You know what she does is she watches the fights after she knows the results.
Right.
So once she knows I won and everything, then she'll watch the fights. And yeah, she's, like I said, my mom's real biased. So the first time, like, she'd watch my fights after the fact. And the first time I lost to Mike Brown, I did the jumping elbow backwards. And he caught me with the overhand right and was like rabbit punching me when I was on the ground, and she's like, I think the sport's great, but they need to change the rule. He should not be able to hit you in the head like that. That's 20-something fights into my career where I've been just pummeling people in the head, but all of a sudden she wants to change the rules a little bit to where the guy's not allowed to hit me in the head. So that's about where my mom's at with MMA.
She didn't feel that way after your fight with Pearson?
No, she didn't say anything.
Okay, so Urijah, what is your biggest motivator to do great? That comes from Raymond Criado.
I've been thinking about this because I've never really thought about it before. It's just something that's been in me, but I think it's to have influence and make people happy. I think when I lose and when I win, the biggest thing that I look forward to is seeing the reactions from people that I care about. And that's the hard part about losing. I get ladies that come up to me that said that they were crying when I was losing, and every time I got kicked in the leg, and little kids that are crying and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh man, that's a bad feeling, and I don't feel that because I've got 100% exhaustion of my feelings and efforts and everything into a fight, win, lose, or draw. So I don't have to feel upset about anything. I just get to do it. And whatever happens, I did it, and it's whatever happened happened. But I love being inspiration for these guys and seeing something that's growing, being a part of something, being a part of a team and about a bigger fan base. I feel really connected to my fans, and making everyone proud is the biggest thing.
Very cool. So this one's a little different. This comes from Tom 9D. Chad, I'm going to ask you first. Urijah, start thinking. This one doesn't sound easy. If you guys could fight any historical figure, who would it be? Oh, you already know?
Yeah.
Chad, you need a minute to think?
No, I mean, someone already asked me this question actually today, which is weird.
Was it Tom?
No, it wasn't Tom. I was thinking about this. I think it would have to be BJ Penn. And are they talking about historical fighters or just anybody?
Anybody, I think.
Anyone?
Yeah.
In the world.
I'd like to beat up Hitler.
That was my guy.
That's your guy.
Yeah.
I would definitely love to beat up Hitler. I've kind of thought about that a little bit, but yeah, that's definitely probably my number one. But in MMA, it would probably be BJ. I mean, even if I lost, I wouldn't even care. Just getting to fight the guy would be an honor.
Mm-hmm. Big fan?
Oh yeah, big fan.
Yeah.
I would say, I said Hitler too, just because someone needs to kick that dude's butt. And
you can't go wrong wanting to beat Hitler.
My grandparents are actually, I'm not Jewish or anything, but my grandparents are from Holland. So they were part of the resistance during the war. They were actually just given, our family were given an award because they hid Jewish families in their house during the war. And I've heard some of those stories about how terrible it was over there. And I think what a creep that guy was.
Yeah,
so I like to put him in a room and just torture him for a little bit.
That might be an understatement, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so Urijah, MMA SD fighter wants to know how you think a fight against Frankie Edgar would go.
With he and I?
Yeah.
I think it'd be a good fight. I think the reason that he had such an advantage on BJ was the speed, and I don't think that he'd have a huge advantage on the speed. I would say he'd probably use his wrestling a little more effective than I would, but I think my jiu-jitsu is better than his, and I think it'd be a real close fight, and I think it's one I could win.
Any interest in Tyson Griffin rematch? Joseph Mize wants to know, would you consider
That's our
going
boy
up?
Mize. What's up, Mize? Mize is great. He always does all sorts of cool stuff for us.
He just had a baby girl too.
Yeah.
Congrats, buddy.
Congrats.
Yeah, and he'll be joining the gym in January.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he's not waiting till January. He wants to know now if you have an interest in going up to 55 and fighting Griffin.
I think, I'm going to be in the sport for a long time, and my goal is just to do the fights that fans want to see. So Tyson's about 40 pounds heavier than I am, and when we fought, he had a size advantage also. But yeah, I'll fight all these guys. I mean, maybe Brown again also. I think that I'm just ready to fight the ones that people want to see. The way it's shaping out though, with Miguel Torres, Scotty Jorgensen, Dominic Cruz, and Kid Yamamoto, I've got my hands full at 35s. And I think there's some really exciting fights. I'd like to grow that brand, the 35-pound weight class, just like the 45s, and just like Jens did with the 55s, and BJ did with the 55s. Be a guy that really brings that to the main stage, and then maybe go back up and start having some super fights. And
later on.
Later on, Chad's gonna be the world champion at 45s, and give Joseph a chance to hop back into the 35s, and I'll just do super fights. Whoever, I'll fight big guys or small guys, and just make a name.
Well, after the fight with Mizugaki, of course, all the talk was Urijah probably would get the winner of Jorgensen Cruz. If Cruz wins and he does this extended surgery thing, if he needs it, you wouldn't take that time off, right? You'd want to fight in that time period?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know. Whatever they say that for me to do, I'll do. I'm a guy that, after my first loss to Tyson Griffin in 2005, I think I fought 7 times in 13 months. That was my only job. There wasn't many people doing it as an only job at that time. So I'm ready for whatever. I'll fight less, fight more, whatever they want to do. But I'm just excited to be in the position I am, fighting the UFC, be a part of AMP Energy and Form Athletics and Team Alpha Male and be bringing up some of the best fighters in the world. And I'm just happy to be where I'm at, and I'll fight whenever.
Fair enough.
You
So,
say when.
for both guys, what made you want to start fighting after you finished wrestling in college? That comes from Timothy Allen Bates.
You know, like I said earlier, basically Faber. You know, just watching him. I was still in college, and just watching him, you know, start making the name that he has now, and just growing, winning all these fights, and you know, doing well in the sport. And you know, I knew after working out with him that one summer, I think it was my freshman summer, right?
Yeah.
And this guy was hurting everybody up at camp, all the wrestlers, doing jiu-jitsu and just hurting everyone, and nobody wanted to roll with him, but I was
Even
like,
wrestling, they didn't want to roll with me, man. Because I wasn't the most technical. I was a clubber.
Yeah, definitely.
I didn't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
So yeah, just working out with him, and you know, after rolling around with them, and you know, I just definitely fell in love with it then. And you know, he told me after even that was my senior year in college when you called, where you called Micah, but you meant to call me.
Yeah.
And then you called me and was just like, you know, after you're done here, I definitely have a place for you up at Team Alpha Male, and you know, I think you'll be good at the sport. And you know, I took him up on it, and you know, here I am.
Yeah, he had his bags packed, ready to
The
go
day
right
after graduation. Yeah, the day after I threw all my stuff in U-Haul and
Ready
moved
to
up
come?
here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said, hey, there's not many guys, and that's the first time I wrestled him he was a freshman in
College, yeah.
In college, and I was, you know, I'm an aggressive wrestler too, and I remember going with him, and everyone was talking about how strong I was, and then he said something about how strong I was. And I remember thinking, dude, you're stronger than I am. I didn't say that to him, but I was like, dude, this is what everyone's talking about when they go with me. He was so friggin' strong and explosive, and I just knew, I go, this guy is made for fighting, like body-wise, explosivity. I've seen him put some people out on the street a couple times when they, you know, messed around with him the wrong way. And I was like, dude, Chad's, you know, everyone always thought we were brothers anyways because, you know, we look similar, and so I'm like, dude, we got to take advantage of this. You got to come down and be a part of it. So.
And you packed up and you were there the day after.
Yeah.
All right, this one's for you, Chad, from R. Shields, 1985.
Bobby.
How does it feel to be a superstar so early in your career?
I don't know if I'm necessarily a superstar, but I mean, just the spot that I'm at right now, I definitely did not expect to be here this fast. You know, I've had a great, you know, run so far. You know, I'm training hard. I'm just trying to do all the right things, and you know, like I said, following these guys' footsteps, and you know, just taking it fight at a time, and you know, undefeated, and just, you know, I'm signed with Pepsi and Form, and it's just I definitely didn't think that I would be here this fast. You know, I thought, and I knew in my mind that I would be good at the sport, and eventually I'd work my way up, but. You know, just to be here this fast is it's awesome. You know, I'm honored and definitely blessed.
Urijah, Iron Impact Dojo, lifting weights versus cardio versus rolling. Which do you do most?
I roll the most, and you know, this is something I've had to talk to a couple of the guys because they're getting real big, and not bad necessarily, but you could see it sometimes in their striking. I do use the strength and conditioning guy, and we do some real functional things and work on like explosivity and stuff like that. And I'm not against lifting weights, but it's something that I do. Like they talk about, what do you do in your spare time? That's something I might do more when I'm further away from a fight. You know, and when I get closer, it's a lot of rolling. We have a lot of structured practices, and then a bunch of stuff in between. So I mean, guys come to our camp and they're like, holy crap, you know, but that's what we're used to. We get up in the morning at 9:15, which I don't necessarily love either, but it's something that I want all my guys to have kind of a lifestyle idea. So we start early, we end like it's an 8-hour day, and we just plug in a bunch of training in between. We have kickboxing practices, we have straight boxing practices, we have MMA practices, we have straight jiu-jitsu, we have, you know, individual practices that guys that have weaknesses can jump into. They can get mitt work or they can get wrestling. You know, it's a real co-op in our gym, and we do a lot of functional stuff, rolling, boxing.
All right, we're going to wrap up in a minute. I'm going to get quick picks from you guys. Wayne Albright wants to know picks for WEC 53 tomorrow night. Jorgensen Cruz.
It's going to be a close one, man. If it's finished, if it's a finished fight, I think that Jorgensen's going to win. And if it goes to decision, I'm going to have to give the edge to Dominic Cruz.
And if you had to pick one?
I'm going to say Jorgensen.
Okay.
Scotty.
Henderson Pettis.
Oh man, that's a tough one too. You know, I love both guys' fighting style. I think either guy actually could finish the fight. I mean, both of them are finishers. Pettis is super dangerous anywhere. Stand-up's super dangerous, but off his back, he's super slick with jiu-jitsu. He's got great triangles and arm bars. And, Henderson's, he's got good stand-up, and he goes hard. He's a grinder. He's, got wrestling backgrounds, so he's got heart also. But I'm going to have to go with probably Pettis.
All right. And I'm going to ask last question from Brisby35. Give me a quick answer. Where do you see your life in 10 years?
10 years, I'm going to probably have some kids. I'm going to have a dream home somewhere in the Northern California area, a dream home in Southern California, and I'm going to be going to a lot of fights and hanging out with all my buddies and eating a lot of good food.
Yeah.
That Chad's wife's going to cook?
He's gonna hunt and cook. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
10 years?
So for me, I'll probably have kids also. I'll probably have a dream home also. Probably somewhere around here, maybe Granite Bay or, somewhere with some property on it. Hopefully at that point I'll have my hunting show and it'll be...
I was going to say, where's the hunting show?
Yeah, it'll be a hit. And, I'll be making good money off of it and get to travel all over and, hunt different types of animals and, see different parts of the world. So hopefully that's what it'll be.
Very cool. Hey, thanks for joining us on the AMP Energy Live Chat with Urijah Faber and Chad Mendes. Make sure to tune in to the hometown takedown fight in Phoenix. You're going to see Henderson Pettis on Thursday on Versus. Check your local listings. Chad, money.
Thank you.
Thanks as always.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You got it.
Yeah.